Howdy folks, it's RBB here with the second part of our color space talk. Now we talked in a short video recently about RGB color space. Today we're going to cover CMYK. So if you haven't watched the RGB video, I would go ahead and do that. It's real short, it's about 7 minutes long. But just a little bit of a refresher that when we set up a new document in Photoshop, we, in addition to choosing the size of our document, the resolution of our document, how it's going to print, all that good stuff, we need to choose a color mode. And we talked about RGB color mode being the primary colors of light and the color space you would choose if your outcome that you're planning on doing was digital. It was going on a website, it was going to be a picture on a phone, it was going to be projected light, you'd use RGB color space. But let's say I'm designing something in Photoshop that I intend to print. If I want to print something out to hang on the wall, to use as a color reference or whatever, I want to use CMYK color, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so working in CMYK color here. Okay, whoops, that's not what we need to do. Boop, that's okay. All right, working in CMYK. CMYK is the primary colors of pigment, and we're used to this. We're used to working in the primary colors of pigment. You've been doing it since elementary school when your kindergarten teachers said, what are the primary colors? Red, yellow, and blue. And then you can mix those colors together. Yellow and blue make green. And we've been mixing colors forever. If you care, if you're an artist, whatever, you know this, okay? These are the primary colors of pigment. CMYK are the primary colors of everything that isn't projected light. Hair dye, markers, crayons, wall paint, every color that we can see that is not projected light is using that CMYK color space. Okay, that is the way we're sort of used to mixing colors. Now, you may want to sit down for this. Your kindergarten teacher lied to you. Yes, probably about many things. Like, you didn't really look cute in that outfit. You probably look like a total dork, but that's not the point. So your elementary school teacher probably told you that the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And they didn't completely lie. That is true, that the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. But the colors that we are used to looking at and saying, this is red, this is yellow, and this is blue, these colors are actually not the primary colors. The red is incorrect and the blue is incorrect, okay? So you've actually seen this, when you were little and you tried to use the like Crayola paints or any kind of paints, and you wanted to make a rainbow, and the yellow was beautiful and the red was beautiful and the blue was beautiful, and then you mix the red and blue together and got a beautiful purple, okay? And then you mix the blue and the yellow together and you got like a gross green. Or you mix the red and yellow together and you got a gross orange. Some color wouldn't work. If the green was beautiful, the orange was gross. If the orange was lovely, the purple was gross, right? And you see lots of kids' things where it's like, wow, that rainbow is really pretty, but whoa, what happened in that color? Because these are actually not the primary colors. I know. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, but primary red, yellow, and blue actually look like this. It is actually, primary red is actually magenta, okay? And that is actually primary red. The primary color blue is actually cyan, and yellow is yellow. You kind of can't mess up yellow, okay? But the primary colors of pigment are actually cyan, magenta, and yellow, okay? Now, if you think about that, cyan, magenta, and yellow, CMY, oh my God, that is our color space. CMYK, so what color is K? That is actually the key color, which would be black, okay? But black, key is not a color, so we would say that the primary, that K is black, okay? That is our key color. So cyan, magenta, yellow, magenta, and black. CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are the primary colors of pigment. So unlike RGB, where we mix all the colors together and we get white, when we mix all these colors together, you already know as a kid, you pour all your colors together. If they were perfect primary colors, when you mix them all together, they would make black. Okay? Instead, of course, they make some kind of baby poop color, but they should make the perfect rainbow. Okay, so when you were using these colors that your elementary school teacher taught you, and why did this not make a perfect purple, or why did this not make a perfect orange? Because this red that we all call red, and it is red, is not the primary color. It actually, look, this is primary red, okay? This red has a lot of yellow in it. Well, no big deal. If it's got a little bit of yellow and I mix this reddish yellow with yellow, great, that's going to be a beautiful orange color. But now I've got this red, this yellowish red, and I mix it with blue. I've got red, blue, but a whole lot of what? Yellow, the third primary color. What happens when we mix all three primary colors? We get gross colors, right? We get, in theory, black. So if there's a little bit of yellow in this red, our purple is going to be tainted with the third primary color and look gross. If it is a slightly different primary red that they're calling it in our little box of paints, and yellow, and those mix together to make a lovely orange. Okay, if we go here to make green, this blue, remember that this is actually primary blue. What we call blue has a lot of red in it. So if we go to make green, yellow and blue make green, unless your blue is tainted with a lot of red, in which case that's going to be a very dull green color. Okay, so one of those secondary colors or more isn't going to work because these are actually not the primary colors. If you go to buy, sometimes they have those like bath color things you can throw in the tub, and they tend to be these colors, and you're like, pink and teal and yellow, this is lame, this isn't what I wanted. When you play with these in the tub, they will make gorgeous colors in your tub because they are the primary colors. So when we're working with CMYK in Photoshop, there's one other little addition that we need to talk about. First of all, we need to make sure that we're understanding that these are the actual primary colors. Okay, and we can go and we can pick our colors just as we could anywhere else. And as we talked about in the RGB video, if I click on my color picker, there was my RGB values. Here are my CMYK values for this green color. So if I choose this green color right here, my CMYK colors are 74, 26, 100, and 11. Now, RBB, didn't you tell me that if it's on my screen, it's RGB, it's red, green, blue? How can I be working in the colors of pigment on my screen? Very good question. So what happens is that your screen is going to do its best to adjust these colors to more fit the CMYK spectrum. If you don't use CMYK, what happens, and I'm sure you've all seen it, you have this picture that looks lovely on your screen. You print it out and the colors are wrong, right? The colors are ugly. That is not what it looked like on the screen because that is a different color space. What we saw on the screen was RGB. What our printer prints out is CMYK. So if you put it into CMYK mode, we are seeing RGB pixels, but they are adjusted to appear as close as it can be to what it's actually going to print out as a pigment. So when you're working with color space, you just got to figure out, is it intended to be digital, in which case would work in RGB space, or is it intended to be mixed into paint and put on the wall, or color your hair, or color in a coloring book? That is CMYK space. Okay, so I hope that helps. Next, as long as we've got that down and we understand those color spaces, I want to get into blending modes and a couple other kind of heavier things, but it was very important that we understood CMYK and RGB. So I hope that made it kind of clear. If there's any subject you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. And I will see you soon for blending modes. Be well.